You're listening to the Motivated Mindset Podcast with Bobby Stein.
Hey there, everybody. It's Bobby Stein with the Motivated Mindset Podcast. And I hope that wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, that you're doing absolutely fantastic. And today I'm very privileged and honored, actually. I have a special guest. He's an entrepreneur. He's a former Division I track and field athlete. He's a fitness model. We'll find out about that. Peak performance coach. He's a digital strategist and he's an author. He's authored 2 books focused on personal and business growth, and along with his latest offering entitled Man Awakened. So we're going to learn all about Man Awakened. We come equipped with props and notes here on the podcast. This book is, in fact, again, entitled Man Awakened, Rediscovering Purpose and Vitality After 50. He presently resides in Bali, and we're going to learn all about that and just what all else motivates the mindset of Michael T.Pederson. Welcome in, Mike. How are you today?
Bobby, I'm so honored to be on this podcast. I was so looking forward to it. Here we are. I'm ready to crank this thing up.
Oh boy, we pulled the wool over his eyes, folks. Well, I'm exhausted reading about you, Mike. I found out about you. We made a connection on a LinkedIn platform, which is, by the way, where you can find Mike, one of the places. And I'm just like, in addition to the things that I've just reeled off, you've been a business consultant, a coach, a brand marketer. It's been crazy. Now, in terms of your entrepreneurial bent or spirit, I understand you got started at the ripe age of 10, mowing lawns, etc. Tell me about your first, discovery or walk down the path of entrepreneurship, if you would.
Well, we lost my dad when I was 4. My mom was 8 months pregnant at 21 years of age. So my mom's story is insane. She's gone now. She passed away. But so I knew back then we didn't have a lot of money. And I, 10 years old, I wanted money. At 10, I wanted money. So I'm like, what can I do at 10? God, I mean, I can't. And then my mom said, there's a mower out back. Go check out that mower. And I got the mower and I thought, I wonder if I could mow somebody else's lawn and get paid. And so I started going down the neighborhood. First knock, no. Second knock, no. Third knock, no. Fourth knock, some old guy. God, I wish I remember his name. And he was old. I think he just did. He felt bad for me. And he had a big yard. Holy shit, his backyard was big. And his grass was long. And he goes, go out and back and do it. And then he goes, how much are you going to charge? And I threw out a number that, if you think of inflation, Bobby, $5 for the yard. Do inflation to what it is now. Imagine a 10-year-old boy making, what would that be, $30, $40 today? Maybe something like that?
Well,
at 10.
We're the same age, right? You're 61. I just turned 62 myself. So yeah, inflation rate would probably put it at around that figure. And he was like, I got one.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So I then I got the bug, and I could basically do 2 or 3 lawns on a Saturday. And if I wanted to do Sunday, I would, but typically it would be a Saturday, and I'd make between 10 and 15 bucks at the age of 10. Way back then. So that was kind of, and when I got that first yes, and I got that money handed to me as a 10-year-old boy, it changed my life. And
where was that?
That was in Newburgh. Oh my God. Nobody's going to know this town. Newburgh, Oregon. And even today, it's a population of 20,000 people. 20,000 people today. When I lived there, it was 8,000 people.
Plenty of lawns, plenty of opportunities for a 10-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Well, just in my neighborhood. I mean, I just stayed in the neighborhood, because I had to push that lawnmower down the sidewalk, right? So,
and you probably learned at an early age about referrals, right? And things
Oh,
like that
100%. Oh, yeah. And doing a good job, just making sure when I was done, I wanted to look back and really see that yard and go, wow.
Yeah, that sense of gratification and accomplishment. I know when I was a youngster, Mike, I had similar scenario. My parents were actually divorced when I was 9. And, I bounced around a little bit in terms of, I was the oldest of 3 boys. And we moved to this town, and we were kind of on the lower economic scale of things.
Right.
And I watched the kids walking around in Converse All-Star sneaker and Levi's
Converse,
jeans and stuff.
oh my God.
And my
Yes.
mom, she would buy me Beta Bullets or Keds, and they were just not cool. And I remember going shopping with the family at Clover, which was a department store, and I would get the Garanimals, matching the stuff. And everybody else had Levi's and stuff. So I said, how do I go about doing this entrepreneurial thing, much like yourself, about the same age? There was a cemetery. It was called Oddfellows Cemetery. And It was huge. And it was like all the old tombstones, and you could hardly make things out from the 17 and 1800s. It was really trick. And the guy, I inquired about, cutting the grass there. And he said, sure, go ahead. Right? So you had a weed whack around I didn't know how in depth it was going to be. You had a weed whack around 1,000 headstones and then cut the grass and everything. But I think that when you get that taste, but it afforded me the opportunity to get the clothes that I wanted and the bicycle and whatever it might be materialistically, it fast tracked me on. And did it set yourself up, do you find, Mike, in terms of, how you're dialed in now in terms of serving people and looking to get ahead and separate yourself?
Yeah. And I'm going to go back 2 minutes to your story. We are so alike. It's scary because Converse was the shoe I wanted and never got from my mom, and then could buy them when I was mowing the lawn. So when you said Converse, boy, that little boy in me, and I remember the store. I don't remember the name of it, this tiny little store. And I begged my mom for those Converse. But anyways, I think it builds in you at such an early age, that level of commitment and knowing that it's all on you. For me, I love that feeling of control, I guess. Call it control, probably. I love that feeling of, and that's why I've been an entrepreneur for 35 years. And as an entrepreneur, let me tell you, 99% of people could not do it. They could not do it because it's crazy, the downs.
It's a roller coaster, and you take up that adage, if it's meant to be, it's up to me, right? I spent my career in sales, same thing, right? No ceiling. So that if I wanted to go out and knock doors and hustle, and it was really up to me, there was a product, there was a phone book, there was a phone, rock out. And I found that to be very rewarding. Yeah. But the Converse story real quick. So prior to me earning enough money to get my Chuck Taylors, my Converse, my white high tops, I found a pair in the gymnasium that were 3 sizes too big. I'm a little guy. I'm 5'7", 170 pounds. I wear a size 8 shoe. These were probably 11s, and I grabbed them because they were available. And I remember strapping them on, lacing them up as tight as I could, and they were clearly disproportionate to my legs and body.
Sure.
But I was like a clown walking around in these Chucks, and I was like, "This is the stuff."
I love it. That's incredible. That's incredible.
You're 10 years old. You're cutting grass. You're going through elementary and high school, junior high, and then college. Were you an athlete from when?
Day one, probably. Yeah, my brother and I. My brother was a national champion athlete in high school, #1 in the country throwing the javelin. And he was a big dude, like this dude. Holy crap. He was in the 8th grade. Well, now the boys are big. And I think it's what's in the milk, and we could get into all that, right? But back then, the average size boy in like middle school was little tiny dude. My brother was 6'2", 185 as an 8th grader.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a man. He was a full-grown man.
He was a man-child.
Well, he was. My mom had to carry his birth certificate around and show all the parents his age. Because they would look at my brother coming and go, no. And my mom's like, here it is, right? So I bring up my brother because I just shadowed him. Everything he did my whole life, I shadowed him, right? Because I was
the age difference, Mike.
10 months.
Age difference?
10 months.
Irish twins, yeah. How tall are you?
Six. I'm probably slightly under 6 now. But I hit 6 foot tall in the 9th grade, so I was 5'10" as an 8th grader. So I was the second tallest kid in school back then.
Okay, so when we're watching the Little League World Series and Venezuela's winning, and they've got a 12-year-old with a full he's reached
Oh
puberty.
God, jeez.
And, he's 6 foot. He's got the mustache and beard going.
That's my brother.
They have to bring the birth certificate, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
So you're following him around in terms of athletics.
Yep, for sure.
You wanted to see. You were curious to kind of follow in his footsteps.
Yeah, I mean, I had it in me because in the end, the way this whole thing turned out was my brother had God-given talent. Like, I kid you not, the first time he grabbed a bowling ball, and I'm not joking, by the way, we were probably 12, 13 years old. He bowled a 200 game, a 200. First time he ever picked it up.
Just a
tennis racket. I mean, anything he could do, and I was not that kid. Yeah. I was that scrappy, skinny. I mean, I was a fraction of the size of him. Super skinny. My shoulder blades are sticking out of the back of my body.
Your spine bumps down the back of your back.
Oh, you can see. Yeah, you can see you can see it all. But what it did for me was we played sports all day, every day. That's what's all we did, right? I mean, so now kids are doing the gaming and all their stuff. We did back then was we would grab a football, basketball, and a baseball and a bat. And we would leave for the whole entire day until it got dark. And when we got bored with the one, we do the next one. And then the next day would happen. We do it again and do it again. And with me having him to throw with and do all my stuff with, it accelerated me very quickly, right? Yeah. Even though physicality was completely different, it escalated me very quick. So in my grade, like, it wasn't even fair, right? Like I was so much better than everybody in my grade. And then when we started competing against other schools, it was not fair because I'd been with my brother the whole time, but the drive, he didn't have the drive. He was just God-given, and so he would look at me doing crazy things like we would be out in the dark all night. I started lifting weights at the age of 11. So it was unheard of back then, but I wanted to have muscles. I wanted to get big, and we would play all day long, and then I would go down in our basement at night for 2 hours and lift weights. And he would look at me and go, "What are you doing?" "What are you doing?" I go, "I'm going to go lift some weights." He goes, "Aren't you tired?" I go, "No, I'm good." And I'd go down for 2 hours and lift weights. And I did that 6 days a week at the age of 11. And then off, so there you go, right? I had this drive inside of me that just it was uncontrollable.
Well, and that'll translate into adulthood and everything that you lend your hand to, right? I mean, I remember getting back to going out and playing, sports. Same story. But I remember going out in the morning and not coming back until Bobby, dinner time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Me and my brothers would come back. There was no such thing as, the extent of gaming was at the local delicatessen, they had a pinball machine. It wasn't any of this, No. I really think the kids, today could benefit from that. So take me now. So you're excelling in athletics, you get to the 8th grade and you're a little bit in terms of performance and everything, head and shoulders, so to speak, above the other guys. I understand you scholarshiped at, you're a Beaver.
Oregon Beaver.
Yeah, brother. And you got a scholarship on you fast tracked your education through athletics. Tell me a little bit about that, please. Yeah,
well, I followed my brother's footsteps throwing the javelin, and I blew up my back as a junior in high school triple jumping because I was a jumper and a thrower, which is a really odd combination in track. You just don't see that. Because javelin is explosive. They're usually bigger dudes.
Fast twitch.
Yeah, the bigger dudes, and jumpers are just, they're fast sprinters, and they're springy because I was a long jumper. But anyways, I picked up the javelin, and it was just instantaneous. I threw it very far, very, very far. And that was from all the years of my brother and I playing catch and doing the stuff that we did. And so when it came to college, he got a full ride scholarship to University of Washington his year, and when he graduated. And then when I came out, because I'd blown up my back, I was picked to win the state championship, and I got 3rd. I had a big weight belt that I wore to throw in because I couldn't plant. It was brutal. And very heart-wrenching because I wanted to be the same as my brother. I wanted to be the state champion so that you could see the brothers' names back to back, and it didn't happen. And so in college, I picked Oregon State because it was close to home, and there was a really good thrower there, but he didn't give me a scholarship when I showed up because I still threw very far in high school, very, very, very far, but I got third. And I said, what do I need for a scholarship? And he goes, you need to throw like 230 feet, whatever. So I don't know if anybody knows the feet as far as javelin, but that's a decent throw. And I'd thrown 215 in high school, 215, but I'd thrown 235 in practice in high school. So I knew it was in me. So long story short, I'm training with this guy who's really, really good, my training partner. And the first meet of the year, I'll never forget in Oregon. It's not very sunny in April in Oregon. Okay, it's still very rainy in Oregon. So our first meet was sunshine, and my training partner goes out, throws a massive throw. Crowd goes ballistic, right? I mean, it was 273 feet on his first throw, which was it was massive, right? And we didn't know how far we could throw because we had thrown indoor weighted balls all the way through the winter. And so we didn't touch a javelin at all. And so he throws that, and then I come up, and on my very first throw, I threw 245 feet, broke the all-time freshman record, qualified for the NCAA championships, got my full ride scholarship all in one in the first throw of the meet as a freshman. So that solved my scholarship problem. That broke, and that record stands today. So I broke the all-time freshman javelin record that year.
There's a lot to be said for preparation and
yes.
And appetite, right? You were hungry. I mean, you knew you had to beat that certain qualification, that Mendoza line of 230 or whatever. And here it was, yep. You went and trained and practiced and got out there. How great would it be that if every endeavor, it was a three for one? Like you get your scholarship, you'd break the record, and you were getting the adulation of all the girls in the stands.
That's funny.
That's a win-win situation.
That's right? Funny. That is funny. No, that was good times back then. Very, very good times.
Excellent. Now let's transition a little bit into the business realm. So you go through school. What does it look like when you graduate? Did you have in mind what you wanted to do? I know you've got your degree. Yep. And did you apply it readily, or did you find a different facet or avenue to go down? How'd that work?
Well, I attempted to make the Canadian Olympic team in the decathlon. And that's a whole nother story. But because I was a jumper and I was a very much all-around track athlete in high school, but then I gave it all up because I was getting paid scholarship for the javelin, and I missed long jumping. I was a very, very good long jumper, and so when my senior year in college came up, I asked the coach, hey, can I do a little bit of long jumping? Well, this is Pac-10 Division I college. And he goes, long jump? Where'd that come from? And I go, I used to long jump. But I hadn't long jumped in 3 or 4 years. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about, but go play around in the pit if you want. And I went over to the long jump coach, and he goes, long jump? Because I was a thrower. And I backed up my steps, went down the runway, hit 22 feet in the first jump, and they're like,
You've been sandbagging us, man. You're a natural.
And I'd gone almost 24 feet in high school. So long story short, gotcha. I've lived my life not wanting to regret much, right? And that scenario goes through my head when I have something I'm considering doing. I ask myself, will I regret this later? And that's a question I ask all the time today. And the decathlon was one that was in me the day I left high school. The day I left high school, I wanted to do the decathlon. And because I was born in Canada, it was a little less competitive than America to potentially make the Olympic team. So I had 1 year at the age of 23, which is starting the decathlon extremely late, really, really late. Like people have done the decathlon since age 18. Anyways, long story short, I go up to Canada. I train with all the guys. Didn't make the team, but my training partner got the bronze that year. He got the bronze medal in the Olympics that year, which was incredible. So I knew my career was finally done. I finally did it all, right? I tried to make Olympic team in the decathlon. It didn't work. I was done. And so at that point,
no regrets. Yeah.
Zero regrets. And at that point, I thought, career, oh shit. Okay, I got a degree in exercise physiology. I'm pretty fit. Trainer. I'm going to be a trainer. I'll be a private fitness trainer. And that's what I did. I walked into a gym and said, hey, I got this degree. And what they told me was they're going to take half the money. And back then, even I go, I don't like that equation. That's not going to work for me. And I heard of a trainer that was training clients out of the home privately. So he was driving to the homes and training them and charging way more money and making all the money. Yeah. And that's what I started to do. And so I ended up in a circle of male CEOs that all spread the word about me. And I was training all male CEOs for a very high dollar amount. I set the bar in Portland, Oregon at it was $125 an hour 35 years ago.
Again, with the inflation.
Can you imagine
how much it would be today? Yeah,
$500 an hour as a trainer, probably something like that. Yeah, so that's what I did, and then of course I did some fitness modeling and infomercials and some other stuff. So
it's a strict discipline in terms of diet and work ethic and performance and working out, right? When you were training, are you? Let me ask you: are you a vegetarian? Are you a carnivore? You do keto? Are you a vegan? What are you? You just How did you
standard?
How did you get down to fighting weight and get that 5% body fat to get in front of a camera and show off your own things?
I've always done cardio. Always done cardio. I've always been slender built, so I think I've maintained like a 8 to 9% body fat my whole entire life.
That's awesome.
I don't think it's ever gone above 10. So I've just my routine has been consistent for 50 years, 40 years, a long time. So I didn't have to do any cutting. I mean, maybe for a couple of days I watched my carbs, but overall washboard abs and legs were ripped, and I didn't have to really do anything.
Yeah. So you matriculate out of university and you're training, executives and Fortune 500 CEOs, and you're making the equivalent of about $500 an hour. What did you do to, was it sustainable?
Well, I got married and we had 2 kids, and I told her to stay home. I was pounding my chest. She had a great job. We both look at it. She's my ex now, but we get along fantastic. But we both look at it now, and she said I would have never quit my job. But I was making $100,000 a year.
And I was making at that point.
I was 28, 29, something like that.
Yeah.
And she was funny because we met in a gym and she had heard about me as this hot trainer, blah, blah, blah. And when we got to dating, she said, do you make any money at this? And I kind of proudly said, I make $100,000. She was like, what?
She said, where do I sign?
Well, she couldn't believe it, So when we got married and had our first child, I thumped my chest as a man back then and said, quit your job, quit your job. I got this. And, I did not know what the future would be as far as the up and down.
Yeah.
It was, we had some rough moments, but she was amazing all the way through our marriage, supported everything I did. She was an amazing wife. Very, very good.
Now take me. You find that there's peaks and valleys. What did you graduate into? What did you find yourself? How did you land on your feet? Obviously, what did you do?
After personal training, I met a gentleman in Portland that had launched the first online fitness membership site. And it was the first in the world, by the way. Now there's a billion of them, right? This kid was 23 years old, making $2.3 million a year by himself with this online fitness. And I said, show me this thing. And he showed it to me. Well, I had picked up the game of golf and I got rabid about it, like I was hitting balls 3 hours a day, doing all this stuff. And so I told him, so I said, I want to do that. And he goes, okay, well, I got the fitness part. So what do you want to do? And I sat there and he goes, you golf, don't you? And I go, oh, I'm crazy about golf. And he goes, do you what do you do in golf that you think your fitness helps out? And I go, oh, I hit it a long ways, a very, very long ways, like 300 yards on every drive, whatever. And he goes, you could market that. And all of a sudden he says, why don't you launch a golf fitness membership site? And I was like, oh shit, I'm a fitness trainer. Yeah. I'm rabid about golf. I knew everything about golf, every inch of the swing. And I thought, holy shit. So he came on as a partner, 50% partner. and we built the platform. And then I bought him out, and I took it to 7 figures in 2 years.
Is that
in
right?
2 years,
So
7 figures.
You're in your early 30s.
I was
You're
31,
right.
32. Yep.
You're getting all this experience, knowledge, and online
Crazy.
things are actually literally coming online, coincidentally and coinciding with your venture.
Yep.
So what happened when you started to experience that success?
I was horrible with the money. And my then wife just kind of rolled with me. She was very, very passive and I was very dominant. That kind of made the relationship work. And she just rolled with it because we had a really, really good life. We went to Maui 9 times. I bought her a couple of cars, brand new and all that. So we were just doing that thing, right? And really never was smart with the money. So that was probably my only regret in my life really is how I handle money. That's probably the only regret I have is I was really poor. I just, in the moment, let's go. So that was an eye opener for sure. But
when you come from not a lot, okay, I think when you finally arrive, quote unquote,
that was it.
You're almost like a beggar at the banquet table, and you feast, right? And you don't have that foresight or that foundation built that says, listen, I have to. It's an educational thing in terms of money, I feel, and you have to really.
Yeah, that was a huge learning experience for sure. But then I pivoted to a digital marketing agency because I knew how to make a living on the internet, and so I thought, well, what can I do now? So it was another major career pivot. And I turned to my wife and I said, I think I've heard of this digital marketing. They called it digital marketing, right? And I was doing it since 2001, and they didn't call it. There was no naming when I launched the website. There was no content marketing, video marketing. They didn't have a name for it, but I was doing all of that to build up that business, right? So, and I launched an agency. I started working with dentists, and that went for about a 10 or 12 year period. And then I got burnt out working with dentists. And then I became a consultant, and then that kind of carried me all the way to now.
I gotcha. At some point during your trek and your journey, you sat down. Some idea must have captured your intellect and your mind and your imagination. And you penned a book, and then you penned a second one, and of course the third one, which we're going to get into, Man Awakened. Go about writing your first,
what's funny?
Book.
I got a C- in English all the way through high school. truly C-. And I wouldn't say I'm a good. And I wouldn't say I'm a good writer. I mean, I kind of write from the heart. I just write who I am, kind of how I talk. I'm not quite how I talk because that probably wouldn't be acceptable. But the business book, I don't know what happened to me, but one day, I really don't. Like one day, you know what it was? I know what it was. I've been writing a lot of content, like blog content and articles on the internet about business. And I think I'd written, I don't know, 30 or 40, like quite a few. And I thought, and I was getting responses from people that were reading the articles and commenting and things like that. And that might have been the trigger now that I look back on it. Interesting, on this podcast, I'm figuring this out. And what I thought was, I'm going to write a book because it'll be my business card. It'll be my business card on steroids, right? And so when I started to write, funny little story.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant thinking, and that's very insightful. I mean, I've got to be honest with you. That's forward thinking.
Well, I'm a marketer, right? So I'm always trying to find that edge. But I will tell you something really funny. When I started, I had no clue what I was doing, and from time frame to anything. Well, I met this woman who was a book. What would she call herself? A book marketing coach, a book writing coach, whatever she was. She was going to charge me $12,000, $12,000. And that was, at that point in my career, there's no way I'm not paying $12,000. And I said, well, what kind of time frame are we looking at? And she said, well, God, if you go really fast, probably 4 to 6 months. And I go, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. And so she goes, well, what's your time frame? And I go, I don't know. 60 days, 50 days. She goes, no. I wrote it in 49 days, start to finish, 49 days. And when it went live on Amazon, it was before the 60 days when it went live. And I sent her an email with a picture of the book. And I go, hey, thank you so much for the motivation. I appreciate it. So there you go.
That's a fascinating story. We're going to dive into it a little bit deeper, to use today's vernacular. Dive deep, scale it, wrap your arms around it, circle back, all that stuff, reach out, touch base.
You're funny.
I am speaking with author and entrepreneur Michael T.Pederson. You can find Michael on the LinkedIn platform, of course. His literary offerings, you can find his books over on the Amazon.com platform, but moreover, visit him at MikePederson.com, and that book site that he has, you can go direct to him, because he's got some special offers and things of that nature that you'll want to avail yourself of. And that's called manawakened.com. Manawakened.com. I think you'll be glad you did. You pay a visit. You'll get some insights and some special offers, some deals, and who knows, maybe you can talk directly to Mike at some point via the email or whatever, because he is living on the other side of the world now, Bali, Indonesia. We're going to have to get into that, Mike. I can't believe it. A guy who's gone from where? The Willamette Valley or whatever it is in Oregon, down to Arizona. And crazy stuff. So you're out there. Don't you find it serendipitous and some may call it coincidence, right? Where you ran into this woman. How did you meet the woman that was fixing to take $12,000 of your money and take 6 months of your time? Was that that wasn't
research?
An accident?
No, it was research. I just thought, write a book, book writing, how to write a book. And I got on Google and just started researching it. And then she came up on another website, and even the books that she coached on and things, they were more fiction. So I knew there was a disconnect right there, because mine was nonfiction, it was a business book. But it was an interesting call, because, she reared up on me, I reared up on her. And I'm like, no. So the way it turned out was, in the end, very good, but we weren't getting along from the very beginning anyway. So
now, you were living in Chandler, Arizona?
Arizona for 4 years.
Chandler, Arizona. You're married for how long now at this point?
No. I was married for 24 years, got divorced in 2018 at the age of 55. And that's how that's how the book came about. Men, I work with divorced men after over 50 now. That's my whole focus, is because I've been through it. I put myself through that whole nightmare of the finances, feeling lost, isolated, broken, crying in my empty apartment. I've been the whole, I'm not alone. There's millions and millions of men that are going through it now and that have been through it. So
ran the gamut. So you decided to author this book, Man Awakened.
Yep.
And that book talks through. Now, I just recently received my copy, and I wish that you could have signed it for me. But it's really cool, because it's called, I think, let's take me through some of the trepidation. Okay, I went through a divorce at 46 after 26 years of marriage. So
26.
I'm kind of intimate with your. I know I had to rediscover my purpose. I had to rediscover myself.
100%.
Take me through that.
Yeah, well, you as men in our generation, we are defined through our success. And that success can be material success, can be career success, all of that. We're defined by all of that. And once it's in you, it's in your DNA. It's there. And so when, like you said, I felt like a massive failure. And then the finances kicked in, because big alimony payment every month and all those things, right? And here I am. So it's still on me. All of it was on me. Now, again, I chose it to be on me in the marriage, and because I told her stay home. But now, so that was a whole new world for me to have. My monthly nut was really, for me, very, very high, and that put a lot of pressure on me as a self-employed individual to have to make even more to live comfortably, right? I was living in Scottsdale, Arizona at the time, and it was a big time struggle, because, rightfully so for her, she got a lot of money from me because there was no income. The income, she had none, and I was doing very well.
Yeah.
And I was doing well. So the courts looked at that and just said, she's got to be here somewhere. And I was like, so, and that's still going on today. I have one more year left. So I have one more year left.
Who comes to you? You're saying there's millions of people in that boat. They come to you, Mike, for guidance, and you can offer sound sage advice because you've already traversed the landscape of all the emotional scenario, the financial scenario. How do you get folks to rediscover their purpose and really redefine their being and their DNA?
Well, the first thing is acknowledging where you're at. And so our first call is, tell me where you're at. Tell me your emotions. What are your feelings when you wake up in the morning? What are you experiencing, right? So when I get that baseline, that gives me an idea of what I'm working with, like how far in the darkness they are,
It's like
because
discovery. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the men that come to me or reach out to me, they're in dark places. They're in dark places, but they've had nowhere to turn. They've had nowhere to turn, and that's what makes me excited about doing what I'm doing. Is we're sort of being ignored in society right now. Men our age, you've got a big feminist movement going on in America, the feminist movement, and then you've got a smaller fraction of the feminists that are toxic. Those are the ones that hate the men and say they could do without us and all of that. So a lot of men are dealing with the feminist movement, and then they're dealing with the toxic feminist movement, and they're lost. And because we have a sense of pride, we don't reach out to anybody. We don't tell anybody what we're going through. And I did that, right? I did that until I finally woke up one day and said, I can't keep doing this. I was bawling in my apartment complex, and I reached out to a buddy of mine, and it changed everything because he's like, dude, why didn't you get a hold of me earlier? I'm like,
it's that pride thing. Now, let me ask you a personal question. Did you drink alcohol or take any substances during this? So you weathered the storm without
working out, my fitness.
That was your outlet.
Yeah.
So that gave you mental clarity, and your body reaped the rewards as a result too.
Yeah, I've never been a drinker. Never done a commercial. What do they call it? Commercial drug ever? Not one. So I've never put any of that stuff in my body. It wasn't anything that excited me.
Yeah. No, I was just concerned or curious rather, excuse me, because I think a lot of people
drinking
when they don't know where to turn rather, and you hit the nail on the head, right? In terms of there's a lot of pride there, right? You've been a breadwinner, you got the big shoulders, you can take a punch, and here you are out of left field, because of a court, and you're behind the eight ball, and you want to be able to really transfer your experience and then offer assistance to your book. I just started reading it. You have to forgive me. I just came.
That's okay.
But it's really, it really looks like a good resource, Man Awakened, Rediscovering Purpose and Vitality. So do you notice a lot of people in terms of clients, rather men that are in our age demographic? Are they out of shape? Are they
physically broken?
Lacking
physically
purpose?
Broken. Physically broken. I mean, 30, 40 pounds overweight. And a lot of them are very successful in business. They're successful, they're VPs, I've trained CEOs almost my entire life. So your body is a reflection of your self-worth. It's a reflection of your self-worth. And I try to ingrain that in them right away, is that, listen, people are going to look at you, and if you're walking around 34 foot, they're not going to respect you. They're going to have no respect for you. Even if you are good in business, they're still not going to respect you. And they're going to probably be shocked, how did this guy get so good? How is he so successful and he can't take care of himself? Like if I've always said, if you can't take care of yourself, who are you going to be able to take care of? Right. And so these men focus all on their profession at the cost of their health and well-being. Right. So that's a huge part of my coaching, is helping these men get back on track with just simple eating corrections, simple, exercise suggestions. I don't want to go hardcore with them because, they're so far on the other end of it. It would be too overwhelming. Right. So I just take them with like, hey, can you wake up in the morning 30 minutes early, and can you go on a walk for me? Yeah, I can do that. Perfect. Yeah. Do that. Right. And on your eating, instead of eating, all your meals, cut a third of it out, leave it alone. So that's called portion control. I said, if you just do that alone, you'll drop 10 pounds in the next month. And they're like, what? Mm-hmm. And I go, you're overeating. Yeah. You're eating way too many calories, and you're not doing anything to burn the calories off. You know this, you're a bodybuilder. So for me, the simplicity of some of these ways the strategies I use makes it easy for them to implement it.
The small, small steps, baby steps, by doing what you say, just taking a step back, it's almost like portion control. It's almost like, hey, listen, if you put 5% of your weekly pay into a 401k, you're not going to miss it. You're not going to miss that extra, order of fries or whatever. And by simply doing that and walking, that they can see marked improvements within 30, 45 days. And that's really got to be encouraging. What do you do for their headspace? What do you do for their confidence? And knowing that the physical side of the scenario does address the confidence, but what do you do mentally? Do you suggest that they read things? Do they listen to things? Do they work on their mindsets and their internal controls? And do you do anything like that?
One of the things I push, the foundation of all my coaching is self-reflection. And so I want men to self-reflect multiple times every day. And what I want them to do is stop in the middle of a day and find out how they're feeling. How am I feeling right now? Right? And it's like an internal question you ask yourself. And then you monitor that answer, the feelings of like, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm excited, whatever that may be. And then whatever that emotion is, find out why you're feeling that way. So typically, when the emotion is a negative emotion, I'm sad, I'm stressed out, any of those emotions, you got to find out why. Because I think what a lot of people do, and this isn't a gender thing now. Now I can get into men and women and everybody, but nobody really takes the time during the day to be present and self-reflect. And to really be aware of their feelings. Men, we're told to push our feelings aside, don't talk about it. It's not manly, it's not masculine, forget it. But I want to reel them in to find out, you need to find out why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Because a lot of the times they'll do this for years. You'll go for years like this. And then people want to know why they're miserable in their lives. It's because they haven't done any self-reflection whatsoever. And so that's a big core of my program is self-reflection and really in that moment finding out how are you feeling and why are you feeling it that way? Because then you can course correct on the spot. I mean, you could self-coach immediately. So that's a big one for me is self-reflection.
So you facilitate what lie dormant in that individual. You just bring it to the fore. See, I think a lot of us, right, we get, deconditioned or conditioned in our thought life. We get programmed, right? We now return you to your regular scheduled program.
Yep.
We're programmed and we're conditioned, and it's just a simple function of really putting on the brakes, applying the brakes. Now we all know that when we're doing 60 miles an hour down the interstate and we hit the brakes, we don't stop like that, right? So
that's right.
Results may vary, but results are going to come, but they're going to come over a course of time. So being reflective, self-reflective, and aware, I think awareness is, the other thing is, Mike, we all live within this 6 inches between our ears, right? Where there's an incessant chatter talking on. So self-talk, I've found, when we go through a trial or a tribulation or a breakup of sorts or whatever, and we're confronted with this, it's all of a sudden, all that doubt, self-doubt and voices, you start to, all that creeps in. You got trepidation. You're no longer, stepping on sure footing. So what you bring to the table, Mike, is something that's really valuable. It's needed in the marketplace. Who do you listen to or go to and read? Are you
I listen to podcasts a lot. There's a lot of good, Dan Martell, David Bayer, Tom Bilyeu. Those are. Who else? You would know these guys because you're in fitness. Bedros Keuilian, the Bedros Keuilian show. Have you heard of his show?
I have not heard of him. I've heard of Tom Bilyeu.
Bedros Keuilian. He's just a no bullshit guy. I don't know how to spell his last name. Kouillan. Bedros. He's a really good dude.
I'll seek him out.
I like the guys that are just no bullshit. They get you to own your shit, right? I mean, because that's how I live my life. It's on me. It's not on nobody else. I don't point fingers at anybody else. I don't blame I don't think I've ever played the victim in my life, ever. I was just going to
use that word. You just took the word out of my mouth. You're a victor, right? So many times we become victims because of outside circumstances or conditions, right? So
That's right.
this individual said something, so I'm going to carry I have a hard on for that person now, or I got a grudge,
Yep.
or all these external things. You're driving in traffic and you make a snap decision because somebody cut you off. But all those things are, they can be cut off and mitigated.
Yep.
With the right mindset. And I love the way you attack it, not being a victim, because you have the choice. We have the choice at the end of the
Oh
day.
my
I'm
God.
a firm believer, right? You said, like you just
100%.
said it. In real time, through awareness, you put the brakes on and you can make that shift. And that's what it comes down to. But it requires, and your book is going to speak to this, about the conditioning and the importance of self-reflection. And I'm so proud. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk to you, man.
No, it's cool because you and I are like kindred brothers, man. Like,
Yeah,
like
man.
all the way through to now, and we're almost
Yeah.
the same age. So,
Yeah.
this was amazing. I had so much fun, so much fun.
I'm so glad. When do you turn 62?
62 next August 31st.
Okay.
So,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
so I'm 61 and a half, I guess. Is that right? Something like that?
Yeah.
61 and a half. Yeah.
God, well, happy birthday. I just celebrated on this December 10th.
That's amazing.
And,
you look amazing.
Thanks, back at you. And I'm thinking, like, you know what? I'm 26. 62 reversed is
There you go.
26.
Ooh,
I still feel
like
good.
that. Just reverse the number.
Yeah.
Very good.
Again, we're speaking with Michael T.Pederson. He is an author. He is a digital strategist. He's an entrepreneur, and he's just full of nuggets and insight. And I'd encourage you to get over to manawaken.com, visit the bookstore, check out some special offers. What do you plan on doing, Mike, as far as your next endeavor? I know this one just launched, but you always got something on deck. What do you got?
Well, people have asked me, are you going to do another book? And the second book, Atomic Actions, was only completed a year ago. And that was a big one, 376 pages. It's huge.
Look at you.
Yeah, that was a big one. So I'm kind of like spent on the books right now. And I'm really focusing on my coaching because I feel, I did the research a couple weeks ago. There are 6.9 million men that are divorced above 50 in just America alone. But that was back in 2019, pre-COVID. So that's sort of a math problem. They say here's the number of men that are divorced. It's a guesstimation, sort of, but I would think
still the numbers are astronomical, no matter how you slice it.
Big numbers.
Yeah.
Big
there's
numbers.
A huge opportunity there for your coaching venture. I would definitely encourage you to continue in that vein. You got to give me the quick on how you found your way from Chandler, Arizona to Bali, of all places.
Oh my God. Well, when I decided to sell everything and change my life, everybody, 61-year-old guy, I sold everything, a beautiful home.
You're nuts. You're nuts.
Yeah. I mean, everybody looked at me like, I mean, what are you doing? And I said, I'm out. See you later. And I took off for Southeast Asia. And I thought I might live in the Philippines, and I stayed in downtown Manila for a month, and then went to the islands on the weekends and scuba dived. So I went to 3 different islands: Boracay, El Nido, and did some scuba diving. And then so at the end of that month, I thought, well, I'm done with the Philippines, and I was going to go to Malaysia next, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And on YouTube, one night in Manila, I saw this Bali thing, and I'm like, and everybody's heard of Bali, everybody's heard of it, but I watched a couple of videos and I was like, I think I'll go there next.
Intriguing.
And so on the spot, went from going to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Bali. And when I landed here, Bobby, I tell you, when the wheels landed, something happened. There's no joke. And people talk about what Bali does to you. I mean, literally, there's like everybody says, when you come here, there's a good chance you might not want to leave. And so I've been here 4 months, and I still work with all my clients in the U.S. And I talk, I do all of my business stuff, kind of mornings and evenings, sort of, and then I have the day pretty much open. Well, I'm 2 minutes down the street to the beach. 2 minutes to the beach. It's amazing. I mean, I'm happier than I've ever been. I really am happier than I've ever been.
And well, congratulations. It comes through and it exudes in your countenance, your face, you can see that from a, you're a spiritual kind of, you exude that charisma and that electricity. And,
I appreciate that.
yeah, thanks for sharing some of your story with me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Folks, there's a lot to be gleaned from this individual. Just scratching the surface. I would definitely encourage you, once again, not to sound like an infomercial, but you've got to get over to manawaken.com or, the LinkedIn platform. Michael's got quite the following. See what his posts are all about. They're always uplifting. They're encouraging. And I don't know about y'all, but that's what stokes my furnace. So with that, my friend, what do you think?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, folks, you have been listening and watching the Motivated Mindset Podcast with your host, Bobby Stein, and special guest, Michael T.Pederson. And we just encourage you to check him out one last time at michaelpederson.com. That's P-E-D-E-R-S-E-N.
Yeah, it's actually Mike Pederson, MikePederson.com.
MikePederson.com. And of course, his book over at manawaken.com. Be sure to check it out. Get your copy. I did. And you will be glad indeed. Whether you're over 50 or not, I think you can get some valuable insights and information. And I'm glad we learned a little bit more, Mike, about what motivates your mindset. And then we appreciate it. Until next time, folks, please take good care. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.